You know, there's a specific kind of fear that can turn a totally normal commute into a moment of pure terror, and it's way more common than you might think. Today, we're going to dive into exactly what it is, and more importantly, why it happens.
So, picture this. You're driving, and you see this massive bridge looming up ahead. All of a sudden, does your stomach just drop? Maybe your heart starts to race, your grip on the steering wheel gets a little tighter. It's a feeling a lot of people know all too well.
Well, when that feeling goes from just, mild nerves to an intense, overwhelming panic, it actually has a name, Gephyrophobia. That's the clinical term for a really intense, and often what feels like an irrational, fear of crossing bridges.
But honestly, words like intense and irrational only scratch the surface. For someone who's actually experiencing this phobia, that feeling is absolutely all-consuming.
And the key word here is really profound. This is so much more than a simple worry about traffic or being up high. We're talking about a deep, gut-level anxiety that can grab hold of you, whether you're behind the wheel of a car or just walking across on your own 2 feet.
So, the big question is, why? Right? Where does a really specific fear like this even come from? Let's dig into the roots.
Well, it turns out the source can be a mix of things. For some folks, it all goes back to a single scary event from their past, maybe getting stuck on a swaying bridge during a bad storm. For others, it's tied into that primal fear of heights, that ancient survival instinct just kicking into overdrive. And then sometimes it's all about a fear of losing control, either losing control of the car or just being hit with that terrifying thought of the bridge itself failing. And pretty often, it can be a symptom of a larger underlying anxiety disorder.
But here's the thing. No matter what the origin is, all of these psychological triggers do the exact same thing. They basically hit the big red panic button in your brain, firing up your body's incredibly powerful hardwired alarm system.
And when that alarm goes off, your body's response is immediate. It's so real. And it's in that exact moment that fear truly, literally takes the wheel.
That internal alarm feels like a massive wave of panic just washing over you. And it's physical too. We're talking sweating, trembling, feeling dizzy, a heart that feels like it's about to pound right out of your chest. And all of that leads to one single overwhelming impulse: avoid that bridge, and any other bridge, at all costs.
And this isn't just a minor inconvenience, right? This avoidance has real-world consequences. I mean, imagine having to add a whole hour to your daily commute just to go around a single bridge, or maybe not being able to visit family because the only way there is across a major river. It creates this significant daily stress that really builds up. But, and this is probably the most important part of all of this, it doesn't have to be a permanent roadblock. There is absolutely a path forward. So now, let's talk about how to cross to the other side and get that control back.
Okay, so this path to confidence is actually pretty clear and actionable. First up is therapy. Something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is a game changer here because it helps you rewire those fearful thoughts. You actually learn to challenge an automatic thought like, this bridge is going to collapse, with something more rational, like, hey, this thing is safely engineered, and thousands of people use it every day. This is usually paired with a gradual, guided exposure therapy. Second, you learn techniques to calm that internal alarm system down, things like deep breathing exercises. And in really severe cases, medication can offer some critical support to get you started.
The main thing to remember here is that Gephyrophobia is highly treatable. It's all about a process, about systematically and safely building up your confidence. With the right support system in place, that overwhelming fear can be brought down, one step at a time.
All right, let's bring this all home for our final takeaway. Because when you really think about it, this isn't just about physical structures of steel and concrete. It's about the bridges that we all need to build in our own minds.
Ultimately, any kind of fear can feel like a barrier you just can't get past. But the real insight here is that a barrier doesn't have to be the final destination. It can be a challenge, something to understand, to confront, and eventually to cross over.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about. And this isn't just about highways and rivers, but about any obstacle in our lives. Looking ahead, what bridge in your life, big or small, will you decide to cross next? Thanks for tuning in.